Hello and welcome back to the 45th Annual Sun and Fun International Fly-In and Expo here at the beautiful Lakeland Linder Regional Airport. Anybody ever got an award in their life? It been recognized for something that they did that's a little bit over the top, better than some, actually better than most. I'm Ben Coleman. I'm one of your hosts here for the Florida Aviation Network, and we're here to recognize those General Aviation Awards recipients of this past year. And I have all three of them right here to my left, and I would like to introduce you to them, and let's pull a little bit out about their background and how they were selected to get this very prestigious award. Gentlemen, welcome. I would shake everybody's hands, but I'm not able to stretch over there to Mr. Everhart. We have the CFI of the year. We got Gary Reeves. We have the Fast Team program manager, not program manager, Fast Team rep out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, Mr. Alan Lord. And we have Mr. Mike Everhart is the maintenance technician of the year award. And all of these guys, we have something in general in common. We love aviation. And I'm here because I love aviation and aviation safety in particular. We're all here to prevent accidents, and these guys do it in various ways. And I want to pull that out. Gary, tell us about your CFI. What is your highlight when you do the CFI, your activities of flight instruction?
Well, the thing I really focus on now is single pilot IFR mastery using modern technology. Most really great pilots only know 20 to 30% of what their new autopilots and glass panel systems can do. And that's what I'm focused on doing, is so they know all the features and really taking them up to a mastery level.
So they just know how to turn it on, plug it in, and go from point A to point B, and maybe a few of the peripherals.
There's a lot more than direct to.
Okay, direct to nearest.
Right.
Direct to nearest, that's all you know to hit. And Mr. Lord, tell us about some of your challenges in Puerto Rico. And am I pronouncing that correctly? Is it Puerto Rico or Puerto Rico?
I think any of it works.
Okay, because if you're an old Southern boy, it's Puerto Rico.
That's good enough. That's what it is for us.
But you have a challenge, and you're on an island country or island territory, and your aviation is a little bit different down there than it is here.
Yeah, it is. When I first went down there about 6 years ago, I realized pretty quickly that you can't take off from an airport without being over the water. And so I spent a lot of time trying to get people to wear their life jackets, make sure that they've got the right equipment to do that. Plus, unlike most of the FSDOs, where if I was in Ohio, where I'm really from also, I could drive 100 miles and go from Toledo to Columbus or Columbus to Cincinnati, do a safety seminar. And if I want to do that in the San Juan FSDO, which includes the Virgin Islands, St. Croix and St. Thomas, it's not quite so easy. You have to file international paperwork with customs, electronic EAPAS. We have to call and get set up and work out the arrangements at the different airports on the different parts of the islands. And so it's a little bit different environment than what we're used to in the normal states of the continental U.S.
Well, you know what's really interesting is I talked to somebody that was fixing to take a hop across the pond and asked them, do you have safety equipment? Oh yeah, we got a life vest. We got a raft. Well, where's the raft? Back in the baggage compartment.
That's an interesting story, because what happened was I was very cautious about this. I came from Ohio. I'd never flown over the water. So my wife and I, we bought a 4-person raft with a cover on it and all that kind of stuff. And when I got ready to, after I was down there a while, we were using that raft, I realized that we had it on the back seat, that we couldn't get it out. So I took a pilot friend of mine, and we went one day, and I said, okay, we're going to work on this. And I said, okay, sit there, and I'm not going to touch it. Take that raft out of the back seat. Well, the raft's 35 pounds. I couldn't pick it up. And so I realized that wasn't going to work. So I fly a Piper Cherokee Aero, and I have a hatch in the back, and I have a low wing. So I have to get out on the wing and go right by the hatch anyway. Mm-hmm. So now I put it right by the hatch so I can, but I started going to the safety seminars. I say, well, you guys got your rafts? Oh, they're back in the back, you know. I says, well, not going to do you too much good back there. And I said, how many of you have actually sitting in the front seat? Remember, you're in an emergency, right? You're worried about flying the plane. You're going to get the raft out of the back seat, get it into the front seat. So there's a lot of issues that people don't think about when you're in the Caribbean and you're flying over water all the time.
Yeah, and the that cord that's attached to it. Isn't it nice that you survive the impact? You're up on top of the wing, got your raft, throw the raft out, and forgot to put the lander on.
Yeah. Fortunately, in my Aero, there's a handle to get on, and I've told everybody, we attach the cord up here on the Aero, then you get the raft out.
Good. Maintenance. How important is maintenance in aviation, Mike?
It's very important. I mean, if it wasn't for us mechanics out there fixing the airplanes and keeping them in the air, these guys wouldn't have a job.
Well, Mike, and we go back many, many years.
We do.
And right after you came out of the Navy, I guess you got kind of sidled up with a guy by the name of Dave Harmon.
I did.
And Dave he's been around in the field for forever. He's older than, I think he's older than dirt. And but Dave he has a knack of knowing how to keep things together, keep them safe, and the rules and regulations are there for a reason. They're standards. But sometimes you have to navigate of where it starts, where it stops. Are there any perfect airplanes flying around out there, Mike?
No.
Perfect.
No, there's no perfect airplanes. Something always gets
Too loud.
put off to the side. You know, well, I'll fix that later. And I hear from customers all the time, is it that important that I have to have a new tire if it's got a flat spot on it? You know, the cord's showing, well, can I fly it like that? Well, no, technically, no, you can't. You know, the FAA, I guess, states that it has to, it has to be basically the way it came from the factory, to the type certificate and flat spot on the tire with cord showing. Did it come from the factory that way? No. So, but we try to maintain the aircraft the best way we can in staying in with the guidelines of the FARs, the 4313 when we do repairs. So we try to stay with that, but there's a lot of times you have to make a judgment call. Is this going to be safe for the person? And what my thing is when I talk to my customers, I said, when I get done working on an airplane, I'll get in your airplane, I'll go fly with you, because that's how safe I feel the airplane is when I finish, the inspections or whatever it might be.
Well, Mike, the definition of airworthy meets its type design and is a condition for safe operation. It's just two little things. I mean, you can ask people. I could ask Gary, what's your definition of airworthy? And without me just letting the rabbit out of the hat, he would have come up with all sorts of different things. But now, what is the definition of airworthy?
Airworthy to me.
No. The official definition.
The official definition is it meets the type certificate and it's safe for flight.
Condition for safe operation. Right. And that's where it gets in with Mike, and actually with Alan as well. We're out there on the road and teaching people condition for safe operation. That's the key. And that's so important for the safety aspect. And from your aspect of flight instruction, from Alan's aspect, from being a fast team rep and actually being a recognized person, a conduit, if you will, to the FAA. And Mike, where the rubber hit the road, man, you're right there at the basics of it, of just aviation safety and why it's so important to spend the time and the attention to these aircraft and yourself. I mean, because there's people I know that might be illegal, but they're not airworthy. So that's where it comes into, I guess, more your line of work there, Alan, as far as getting into the software, the human factor. Airplanes. I want to talk a little bit about airplanes. We've got just a little bit more time here to develop. Favorite airplane to instruct in? I know we were talking a little bit on the back, and you hit my heart. My heart started to race a little bit. You mentioned air coupe.
Right.
Tell me a little bit more about how exciting it is to flight instruct in an air coupe.
Well, it's funny. I specialize in single pilot IFR and technology use, and the favorite plane I've taught in so far as a Beech 1900 that had over 70,000 hours on the airframe. They had great mechanics. But the favorite plane I've ever flown was a 19, I think it was a 48 or 49 Air Coupe with nothing, top down, and I'm just going down the 10 freeway delivering it to Arizona. And it's a great example of pilotage is still important. Looking outside is still important, no matter how great the technology is. The people who aren't great at technology tend to be head down in the cockpit, and flying that Air Coupe just brought back all the love and the romance of everything great about flying.
Boy, I tell you, Gary, and you hit on something that I've noticed as, in the multi-engine high performance, positive rate, gear up and locked. Well, in today's technology, with all the screens and all the buttons to push and big television sitting in front of you, it's head down and locked. Because, you get down in that position and really anything could be going on outside of you, and it's not on the screen, so, my TCAS didn't point it out.
And that's kind of why I focus on what I do, because a great story is I was training a very smart neurosurgeon, and he was head down staring at his little G1000 going, there's a plane. And I go, the blue one. He goes, no, it's yellow. And I grab his head and I turn it like that, and a blue Bonanza goes under our wing by about 100 feet. Now, air traffic control was talking to both planes. I knew where he was the whole time, but he was fixated heads down instead of using it as an aid to where to look outside.
I tell you, Gary, and this is just an example of these gentlemen here that kind of represents the importance of the General Aviation Awards program, because there for a while it was kind of floundering, I'll admit it, that the FAA recognized that this is something good. This is a positive thing that the FAA can get behind and help. Valerie Valparaiso is the Fast Team National Program Manager, and I just had a word with her, and she really does advocate that this is important. We need to spend time with this, and I want to thank you guys for either having your name thrown in the hat or throwing your own name in the hat. And I say that literally. Put your name in the hat. If you've done something good in aviation and you're proud of it and you're proud of what you do, put your name in the hat. You don't have to be nominated, and you're not self-serving if you do it. It just means you're confident. Fine line between confident and cocky, but be confident and put your name in the hat for these awards. And these gentlemen here, and again, Mike and I go way back in Orlando, Orlando Aircraft Services, I guess is what it was. And we have a common friend, Mr. Lord and I, Abel. What a gentleman. Tell us a little bit about what Abel does for the FAA down there.
Well, Abel Mirabal is now retired, but he's probably the reason I'm an FAA safety rep, one of the two reasons. I got to throw out a shout to a multi-engine flight instructor in Ann Arbor, David Schrader, who had a plaque on the wall, probably like winning the FSDO for the FAA safety team rep for the year in the FSDO. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. And I was a professor, now a retired professor, and I thought, I've been flying for 15 years, and I think I've got like 2 safety seminars I've gone to. Maybe there's a spot in there, something needs to be done. And then I came down to Puerto Rico, and okay, I'm as I say, the gringo down in Puerto Rico. And I finally worked my way in to see Abel Mirabal, who was our FAST team manager, and he was fortunate enough to give me a chance to join the FAST team. And so I got involved doing safety seminars, and now our FAST team program manager is Eric Aponte, who's been great with us. And that's why my primary passion is to give safety seminars, and that's what I've been doing for the last 4, 5, 6 years, trying to promote safety through safety seminars in the Caribbean, I'd like to do once a month, but hurricanes get in the way sometimes. And we didn't get them done quite as often as we'd like, but we've done a bunch of them, and we get a good attendance.
Well, there's a whole facet of stories from the recovery from both Irma and Mary that hit you down there, and it's my hat's off to you to keep in there plugging, flight instruction wise, and I know you keep your head in the cockpit and outside of the cockpit a lot. Meetings. What do you do to get involved, Gary, to pull other people young pilots into the group, into the mix?
Well, much like Alan, I'm a lead rep for the FAA safety team. In fact, I'd like everyone at Sun and Fun to come join me. I'm teaching 10 free safety classes here.
Free?
10 free safety classes
Free.
here at Sun and Fun, mostly in the CFAA building and a couple at the AOPA. But I think the FAA safety team meetings are the best way. The only problem we have with the FAA safety team meetings is the people who don't come are the ones who should come. So if I could invite everyone that goes to FAA safety team meetings, bring a friend. That's how I got into it, is I had an instructor take me to one, and it developed my passion for safety.
Well, and I know that you mentioned free, and everyone loves no cost attendance, but I think we need to put a cost. We need to put a charge on.
Well,
In order to attend, you need to bring someone under the age of 12, or somebody that's not that you identify as a risk that could save their life.
$20 per person, or free if you bring a friend.
Oh, we throw popcorn.
I like it. I like it.
well, one of the things I want to add to that is related to the wings credits. And we get these wings credits through our safety seminars. And they really should replace what we used to call biannual flight reviews. Now we just call flight reviews. And we were talking about this earlier, that we think that if you do it with the wings credit, you can get rid of the flight review programs, because the wings credits get you that issue. But the important thing is that some of the statistics show that over decades, if you look at all the fatality accidents, there's almost no people who were in a fatality accident who had even one wings credit. People who get wings credits don't end up on that statistics list.
And you know, the insurance companies know that. Avemco, one of the leading insurance, actually gives discounts to policyholders if they're active in the FAA safety program.
Yeah.
Because they don't pay out on those.
And there's a reason for that.
That is. Yeah.
And Mike, I know that you're well aware that there's there's FAA involvement, heavy involvement with maintenance, but it could always be heavier. And on the positive side of maintenance, not coming in to find out what you're doing wrong or not following, or hey, your torque wrench isn't calibrated. That's not the really importance of aircraft maintenance. It's the attention to follow the manufacturer's instructions. Make sure that you have the right. If you've never done it before, don't do it the first time on a live airplane. Do it under supervision. Then you're good to go.
Well, the FAA puts out it's a little card, as to what to do, and for the task. Am I qualified to do the task? Do I have the proper tools? Do I have the proper manuals? And it's a step-by-step instructions. And then on the back side, it has, once you're completed the job, it has, have I don't remember exactly what's on the card, but it's good information for a mechanic that's coming into the industry and that doesn't want to make mistakes. You just go by step, and and the main thing is attention to detail. Pay attention to what you're doing. Distractions is the number one cause of accidents for maintenance. Cell phones. People get text messages, stop what they're doing, texting. Next thing you know, they forget to put a carb pin in a bolt, or hook up a linkage, or tighten a wheel down, and the pilot goes down the runway and a wheel falls off. So
That's never happened before, Mike.
No, that's never happened. But it's. I also do fast team. I'm the maintenance rep for Western North Carolina out of the Charlotte FISTO, and I do a lot of the programs also for maintenance. And with the wings program, I give that credit for the wings program in my programs along with the mechanics. So I have a lot of pilots come to my programs and a lot of mechanics. And of course, the maintenance guys get credit towards their IA renewal. So because you have to have 8 hours, or you have to have 4 annuals per year, and it's renewable every 2 years, odd years.
IA, what are you talking about?
It's the inspection authorization. What it is it's a certificate. It's another certificate that you get.
I thought that was an AI.
No.
It used to be AI.
A long time ago. Some people call it AI. It's inspection authorization, so it's IA.
That's what I was trying to get out of.
Yeah. So, and what that is for guys that's been in the industry for a little while. I think you have to have a minimum of 3 years experience as an A&P to get the certificate, and it's extensive testing. You know, you have to know what you're doing, and then at that point in time, it gives you're allowed to do annual inspections on an aircraft. All aircraft have to have annual, especially GA, have to have annual inspections every year. It's required. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have your annual, you're not airworthy. And so
I tell you, guys, why don't we develop this more? Because we're fixing to have to tie it up here, and there's a lot going on here at Sun and Fun. You guys will be here all week, I hope.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be here till Wednesday.
Oh, well, we have to end the show on Wednesday. After you leave, we have to pull the plug, man.
Well, I got to watch the Warbirds.
Okay, we'll hang in there for that. But I tell you, it has been a pleasure here on the Florida Aviation Network to have our esteemed guests here, our award winners for the General Aviation Awards. And it's we're live and in the clear. If you know anybody that's you ever heard of the internet? Well, this is streaming live right now on the internet. So
my wife's watching.
Good. Hey, Mom. Hey, sweetheart. I'm going to sign off right now, and we're going to see these guys out on the field and other aspects of Sun and Fun 45th Annual here at the Lakeland Regional Airport. I'm Ben Coleman, one of your many hosts here for the Florida Aviation Network. We're here for you for aviation safety, and hope you are coming to Sun and Fun if you're watching this elsewhere. Wait to see you. Take care.